Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to start off looking at Storm Stella, which is producing copious blizzards across many parts of Eastern America at the moment. Then we'll come back closer to home and have a look at the weather for the next week, 10 days. We'll finish up set this B2 for the next month. So this is Times Square in America that we're starting off with right now in New York City. This is EarthCam and the view from Times Square. You can see that it's snowing heavily at the moment in New York City. It's a good covering of snow on the pavements and on the roads. It looks like they're trying to get the roads and paths cleared a bit from the snow. It's just on 8 o'clock in the morning there, and that's the wider view. Just turned to wider view with EarthCam looking over Times Square. Snowy old morning there, and this is going to keep on through most of the day on the eastern side of America. So you've got friends and relatives there. They're going to be seeing plenty of snow today. I've seen reports of anything between around 8 and 30 inches of snow expected to fall on the eastern side of America today. This is the ensemble for Chicago, and you can see how cold it is at the moment in those eastern and northeastern states. Chicago is currently down to around between minus 15 and minus 20 at 850 HPA, so a real freeze going on there at the moment. You see the temperature will be lifting up quite quickly through the rest of the week, so by the weekend it's actually going to be quite mild in Chicago. New York City ensemble looks like this. It's a harder job to warm things up actually over on the eastern seaboard. So, well, that's the precipitation spikes associated with today's snow and blizzard being caused by Storm Stella, of course. And the upper air temperatures show that things are going to be turning colder there actually once this storm is out of the way. So that's where the upper air temperatures are in New York City right now. This is where they'll be in about 24 hours time, turning really cold, and then does turn a bit milder over the weekend, but there's another drop in temperature coming through there, a bit milder again around the 21st, and then another drop in temperature, a fairly significant one, coming up around the 23rd. So over on the eastern seaboard, looks like you're going to be struggling really to warm things up quite a lot actually, and there's going to be further pushes of cold air coming through at times, albeit with milder conditions in between. This is a temperature anomaly for America today. So out in the west, it's pretty warm, but over in the east, very, very cold temperature anomalies for the next week. This goes from the 14th through to the 22nd of March. Really cold temperature anomalies in the eastern part of America, warmer out in the west. It's a similar setup to what we get in Europe, actually when the northwest of Europe, British Isles included, is warm, it tends to be cold down in the east and the southeast of Europe, and it's the other way around. When it's warm in the east and the southeast of Europe, it tends to be cold in the north and the west. America does this very similarly. So western parts of the states for the next week looking pretty warm with temperature anomalies, eastern parts of the states looking really quite cold. So that is Storm Stella just there, that's producing the blizzard on the eastern coast of America. That's the centre of it right now. As we go through to the upper air temperatures, you can see big contrasting temperature, warm air being pushed up out of the Gulf on the eastern coast of America, out in the sea, but coming land, and you find that warm air engaging with this big cold pool that's come out of Canada and is pushing down into the central states. And the contrast between the two air masses what produces both the heavy snow and also those strong winds that produce the gales down the eastern seaboard. This is the precipitation forecast on the GFS, showing loads of precipitation there off the eastern coast. That's rain out to sea, of course, but coming inland, you're engaging with cold air, and most of this going up the east coast is snow. And as we go through to tomorrow, that's pushing further northwards up towards Nova Scotia. Things will start to calm down then. But we know that northerly wind is going to be pushing the cold air back down into those eastern states as Storm Stella clears. This is the synoptic pressure chart for midnight on Wednesday. Again, you see a very deep storm system there off the eastern seaboard, moving up towards the Canadian border with those gales and severe gale force northerly winds blowing the snow around, drifting and blizzard conditions coming through there. Precipitation moving northwards up the eastern coast in towards eastern Canada by that point. Things start to calm down then as we go into the second half of the week. High pressure ridging down across central and eastern parts of the states, and then that storm system is clearing away, and we find the high pressure by the end of the week is in across east parts of America. Still quite cold potentially in the far eastern northeastern states, but otherwise we are beginning to lift the temperature up with these southerly winds beginning to bring milder air up from the south. However, go through to Sunday and it looks like high pressure is bridging back down from Canada again through these midwestern states. So on the eastern side of this high pressure, we're bringing down colder air again into those eastern and northeast parts. There won't be the severe sort of northeaster that's going on today, but even so, it could still be pretty cold with some snow around at times into the eastern states. And through to next week, finally signs of moderation coming through then. I think milder air will be pushing in from the southwest. The upper air temperatures are lifting up with the cold air finally being forced back into Canada. So these milder conditions move through. So it's pretty wild over on the eastern side of America right now. And say that is the situation in Times Square at the moment with a real blizzard going on. Do check out Earth Cam and keep up with the blizzard, see the snow falling if you would like to do that. Right, let's get back to Europe, and this is a situation for the next couple of weeks in terms of GFS ensembles for London, and we can see that the red line here being the 30-year upper air temperature average with significantly milder than average now, so it may be blizzards and heavy snow in eastern America. For us, it's very significantly milder than average. Get a little bit of a drop in temperature there to start the weekend, but more mild conditions coming through over the weekend and start of next week, after which it is cooling down a bit, but certainly no sign of anything particularly cold coming up. Certainly no sign of any blizzards. Precipitation, actually, it's looking quite dry, really. Lots of dry weather coming up for the rest of this week. Some rain over the weekend. A little bit of rain coming through next week as well, but you wouldn't look at that and say it's a particularly wet ensemble by any means. Actually, for the south, it looks pretty dry. I expect there will be more rain up in the north and the west. Temperature anomalies for the UK and Europe for next week, in complete contrast. What's happening in Eastern America again, looking significantly milder than average through most parts of Europe from the 14th through to the 22nd of March. The that was temperature anomaly, precipitation anomaly looks like this. So a little bit wetter than average in the north and west of the UK and through Ireland. For England and Wales, it is drier than average and it extends down through that western part of Europe as well. It looks a little bit more unsettled through central and eastern parts of Europe. Here's the GFS for Saturday. We're bringing up this southwesterly flow, probably some rain, especially so in the north. Into Sunday, again, high pressures close to the south, keeping things drier there. Further north, probably a bit more unsettled. To the start of next week, well, it all gets rather complex. It looks like we've got low pressure sort of slipping down the western side. That may be producing some rain to the west. But for eastern parts of the country, it could be a fair amount of dry weather. And then we go through to middle of next week. We pull down a bit of a northerly wind then. So that's a colder shot potentially coming through Wednesday, 22nd of March. The other high pressure comes back in and off we go again with high pressure dominating the weather through to day 10, which is Friday, 24th of March. Lots of high pressure. And the wind is back in from the west and the southwest, so it looks pretty mild as well. East 70F looking like this. So band of rain probably coming down across the country on Saturday. And then into Sunday, probably showers unsettled in the north. I would have thought a little bit drier down in the south. Into the start of next week, this looks a bit more unsettled actually compared to the GFS. So I think the ECM is probably implying quite a bit of rain there on Tuesday from that area of low pressure. Again, it's quite a complex setup, but potentially quite a bit of rain coming down across the country on Tuesday. And then we go through into Wednesday, where it looks pretty unsettled with the wind coming in from the north. So a little bit of a colder shot on both of these models for Wednesday, 22nd of March. Nothing like what's happening in Eastern America at the moment, but a little bit of a colder shot there Wednesday, 22nd of March. Might be enough to turn showers wintry in the north. And then we go through to day 10, which is Friday, 24th of March. And again, the Azores high is trying to reach, but not with quite as much conviction as the GFS is doing. So I think overall, for the next week to 10 days, the ECM is more unsettled, albeit on a rain fest, but it is more unsettled compared to what the GFS is doing. Finally, have a look at the weather next week, for the next month, I should say, with the CFS V2. These are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first week period taking us from the 13th through to the 19th of March. We find that, again, we've got the ridge of high pressure in the Atlantic from the Azores extending into the south of the UK, low pressures up to the north, and the flow is going through something like that. So it all looks very westerly, fair amount of dry weather down in the south, always more unsettled up in the north and west. This looks more definitively unsettled for all of us for the week from the 20th through to the 26th of March. We've got low pressure to the north and west, and it's extending down across the country as well. The Azores high looks like it's pulling out away from us, so that allows the jet stream to go on a northwest southeast trajectory. So that looks both more unsettled and potentially quite a lot cooler as well there as we're going through into the closing stages of March. However, it doesn't last for long as we go through to week 3, which is the 27th of March through to the 2nd of April. We find the ridge coming back to the south and also building to the east of us as well. The low pressure is being forced back up towards Greenland. The jet stream's going northwards as well. So I reckon that's a return to mostly dry and potentially quite warm conditions as well, because we start to pull up the air from the south and the southwest. So I reckon that will see a significant increase in temperature for the very final days of March and into the start of April. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 3rd through to the 9th of April. And it looks like it's turning unsettled again. The ridge is pulling away from us once more. We've got the low pressure coming back to the north and the west, so the flow is coming in from the Atlantic a bit like that. Probably going to a classic mix of sunny spells and April showers there through that first week of April. So it looks like we're in for a fair amount of dry weather for the south in the next week to 10 days. There will be some rain coming through at times, but always with most unsettled conditions up in the north and the west. Temperatures are probably dropping back a little bit closer to average by the weekend and into the start of next week, but certainly no sign of anything cold coming up, to say the least. It does look like it's going to be a significantly milder than average March. Finally, I'll just leave you with the view on Times Square from EarthCam. Real blizzard going on there. You can follow it through the day by checking out earthcam.com and then selecting the New York and Times Square webcam. So if you'd like to watch the snow falling, enjoy that. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.